I've been following MMA for quite a few years now. You know, Ultimate Fighting. I've been a fan of it for over 4 years now. And I wanted to talk about a few things related to it. I was looking through videos and I found a clip with Steven Segal on Piers Morgan's show talking about he's saying that Piers asked him, "Are you still dangerous today?" Steven, oh God, he the guy is like the Hicks and Gracie of MMA. God, he's so full of shit. And he was even on there taking credit for other fighters winning world championships because they trained with him. What a joke, though, coming from a guy that allegedly got his ass kicked by Jean-Claude Van Damme. I remember last year after the Anderson Silva and the Machida fights when they won with the mysterious kicks, he was going on interviews with Ariel Helwani claiming he invented front kicks to the face. Of course, that pissed off Bas Rutten, and I totally agree with him. But if anybody wants to argue with me about Steven Segal inventing front kicks to the face, then I suggest you watch The Karate Kid. Daniel LaRusso won with a front kick to Johnny's face. Okay? Karate Kid was before UFC. There's your proof. Steven Segal did not invent front kicks to the face. Oh, man. I wonder if he's still doing that Lawman show. I actually liked watching that, but I don't think anybody really cares about Master Segal now. But he has to come out and do these things because he's trying to resurrect his movie career, I guess. Anyway, I was watching a thing on I think it was HDNet or Inside MMA, whatever the show that Bas Rutten does with Kenny Rice, and they were talking about the UFC Hall of Fame and who should be in the UFC Hall of Fame. Mike, God, he's that Australian commentator. I can't remember. Chavello, I think it is. Mike Chavello. He said that Pat Miletich should be in the UFC Hall of Fame, and I totally agree. Pat Miletich, was he a 4-time defending UFC welterweight champion? He's produced more than one world champion, and he's still giving back to MMA. I'm surprised they haven't inducted him yet. He should be in there. And when Boss said Frank Shamrock, I kind of agree with that too, even though that I think Frank only had 5 fights in the UFC. I mean, they were all title fights. You know, I still think they should give his respect as a fighter, even though, like, I guess he has all these other problems according to Dana White. I mean, I wish it wasn't. I think the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now is because his relationship with Dana. Well, it doesn't help that the UFC inducts fighters into the Hall of Fame before they retire, and their Hall of Fame is just all messed up right now. They should have had Pat Miletich in there before Matt Hughes, and now they're talking about inducting Brock Lesnar in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, absolutely not. Brock hasn't had enough fights in MMA. Yeah, he won a world title, but that's all he did. He lost to Frank. He won a decision against Herring, and then he knocks out an old man. Then I guess his best win was probably against Frank Mir at UFC 100, but every fight after that, he pretty much got his ass kicked. I mean, he did win the Carwin fight, but remember, he choked out an exhausted Shane Carwin who's never been past the first round. And they want to induct him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, yeah, what he did was great, and he's one of a kind, and it's impressive. But if he should be inducted in the Hall of Fame, they might as well induct Kimbo Slice, because remember, both of these guys were a draw before they got into MMA, and they became such popular fighters because they were a draw before. Of course people are going to say, well, Kimbo sucks, Brock would kick his ass. And I agree, Brock would beat Kimbo. But to induct a guy that doesn't even have 10 fights in MMA over people that have been in martial arts for a lifetime is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if he would come back to MMA, maybe he doesn't even have to win a world title. Let's just say he wins 10 very impressive fights. Then maybe. But then again, he would have to go back to UFC for that. But like, if they would have international MMA Hall of Fame, which I think would be a great idea. I think the first inductee should probably be Fedor, and then I'm going to get a whole bunch of shit for that, but Fedor was the best heavyweight in my opinion. He beat Nog, he beat Krokop, he beat other former UFC heavyweight champions, Mark Coleman, Kevin Randleman, Tim Sylvia, Andrei Arlovsky, and of course they'll say all those guys were washed up bums at the time, but I don't think Arlovsky was washed up at the time. I think he was in the top 10 heavyweights when he fought him. After Fedor knocked him out, that's when his career went downhill. But we live in the age of TRT, and I don't know about that. I think that it's bad for the sport. I think if the sport, it might make the sport go downhill. Who knows? Like, pretty much every fighter is on TRT now. We're raised to believe that steroids are cheating, and then, TRT is cheating with permission as long as if your levels don't go past the limit. But you got these fighters like Todd Duffy, who's on TRT. Todd Duffy is 5 years older than me. I mean, he's 26 or 27. He looks like he's solid muscle. Why would he need TRT? I don't have a problem with like the Dan Hendersons, the Randy Coutures, or even the Herschel Walkers taking TRT, because they're old. You lose testosterone at that age. But these other younger athletes. I heard Nate Marquardt. Well, when Nate Marquardt got cut from the UFC, that's when this whole TRT thing came about. You got Chael Sonnen testing positive, and then all these other fighters are coming forward. Oh, I'm on TRT and everything. I just wish it wasn't in the sport. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody taking TRT because they have like a medical problem, but getting it prescribed for you to compete in a sport when you're my age, when you're in your 20s, I'm not for that. But a long time ago, before this whole mess, I came to the conclusion pretty much all professional athletes are on something. I mean, it depends who you ask in MMA. If you ask Jeremy Horn or BJ Penn, or you ask Josh Barnett, you're all going to get different answers. And I believe Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn says there's only a handful of fighters that aren't on steroids in MMA, and I believe him. But that, like, they need to get it either where they make a league where it's no drug testing, because I hate this stuff where they make it out that these fighters are 100% legit or whatever. Okay, if they're going to say steroids are bad, they better keep it out. Don't make it legal for them to do and not get punished for it. You know, but after what I watched an amazing documentary probably last year or so. It was Mark Kerr's documentary, and you know, if you're interested in getting into MMA or boxing or whatever, I would be looking at that, because that's what it's like. And I can say I probably most likely won't be looking into fighting if it's going to be like that. But of course, I'll still be a fan and I'll watch it here once in a while. Well, I'm out of time for this commentary, so I'll see you later.